Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to another great video, my beautiful sinners. That's right, welcome back. It's me, the Savior. Welcome to the channel. If you're new, which is highly likely, do go down below and subscribe because I make fresh and original woke content every single day. And check out the music that I make down below. Also on Spotify, Bandcamp, iTunes. Go support it, fight for dystopia, and join the Savior channel today. That's right. Okay, let's get on with it, shall we? Today, I'm going to be talking about Biomutant. Also, let me know how you're doing, because I always love to know how everyone's doing. If you're feeling a little bit moist, or if you're not feeling moist, let me know, okay? Today, my sinners, we are talking about a new game. That's right. Now, I have to admit, I've fallen off the gaming wagon a little bit because there's no fresh original ideas anymore, okay? I've talked about this before in Why Modern Day Gaming Sucks. Go check out that video. And, there's just no innovation. It's all, the same old stuff. Everyone is just doing the same old thing. Game developers are just copy and pasting mechanics. They are just doing this open world format, and nothing really that amazing or innovative is being made anymore. It's usually all the same stuff, the same old gameplay mechanics that we've seen for the last 10 to 15 years, and that's crazy, okay? We need some innovation, Back in the PlayStation 2 era, games were way more inventive than, nowadays, okay? Now it feels like every game I play is the same old thing. It's just repackaged in a different skin, okay? But that's why I'm talking about Biomutant, because yes, it is a little bit of the same old formula of open world games, but, I only want to talk about games now that I'm interested in, that are actually unique and different. I'm not a gaming channel really, but I do still like the gaming community. I still do game occasionally myself, usually older games because I just find them more enjoyable nowadays, but there are still new ideas being made, okay? Now, if you love Ratchet and Clank like I do, if you like the older style games like Jak and Daxter and, really innovative, interesting games where you're, platforming and you're traveling around and you've got unique combat systems and stuff like that, then this game might be interesting to you, because the reason I want to talk about Biomutant, okay, today, is I feel like this is a step in the right direction for the gaming industry, okay? For so long now, we've seen gaming developers just get so greedy with what they produce, and they just give it to the public when it's not even ready and when it's not even finished, and people just buy it and buy alphas and buy games when they haven't even been finished. Gaming has become so big now that some of these corporations, some of these companies are so big now that they rival, movies and television, and are actually bigger than movies and television, and they have so much money and so much power now that this means that they can just release games that aren't even finished, or they can just, sell an idea, and that's all that matters, okay, is selling an idea, because if the marketing is good, just look at Cyberpunk for example, people will buy it, okay, and that's a very dangerous thing to have. And in this hyper-capitalist society that we are living in, this dystopian future that we are heading towards, which is what I'm trying to combat, where everyone is using technologies, everyone is plugged into the machine, that's very dangerous. So we only need to support games that are trying to do something different. So you're actually putting money into something that is giving you a unique experience and are actually respecting you as people and as consumers who use their money to buy something that's worth it. So that's why I'm covering Biomutant. I just wanted to clarify that. So what the hell is this game, if you don't know, okay? This is an upcoming open world, yes, I know, it's a bit of a joke, I'm saying it's an open world game, but yes, it is an open world game. I do enjoy open world games, and they can be amazing, and they can be absolutely beautiful, like Skyrim for example, when that came out. And this looks like it's trying to do something completely different, okay? And what I mean by that is just the vibe and just the art style and just the world itself looks completely different to most things, okay? And I'm not just talking on a surface level like a skin, okay? I mean, yes, it's got a very interesting and wacky and unique vibe to it visually as well, but, it's trying to basically take everything that's been great in gaming, in open world games, and slam it all into a unique and interesting package. So we've got, influences from Zelda Breath of the Wild, we've got influences from, like a game like Ratchet and Clank, we've got influences from, combat heavy games like Devil May Cry. The systems in place here look very interesting because it's a third-person shooter and it's also a kung fu fighting melee game, so there's going to be a lot of combos and a lot of interesting fast-paced action. I hope that's what they're promising, and there's going to be so many interesting things to do in this game, interesting characters. Okay, I hope that the voice acting is going to be good and they haven't kind of skipped on that. I'm not sure it's gonna be a super story heavy focused game where you're interacting mostly with dialogue and stuff like that. It is supposed to be an RPG. You create your character and you can customize your character, but it's mostly gonna be focused on exploration and fighting. But if they nail the combat in this and they nail the exploration, this could be a really interesting and different game that we haven't seen for a long time. I mean, the creatures alone look very interesting and wacky. The vehicles that you control look very interesting. Like I said, the combat is trying to, mash up a blend of third-person shooter and also a blend of, platforming and kung fu melee combat where you have to really focus on your reflexes. I guess it's just like Dark Souls, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's trying to blend all these different genres together and create something unique, and that's why, not just because of the style, and yes, that is what initially draws me in, but from what they're promising, this could be really good, okay? But like I said, I'm not super hyped for this game. I'm not sure if Biomutant is worth the hype, if Biomutant is worth it yet, because we have seen gameplay, but it still looks a little bit, rough around the edges, if you ask me. It doesn't look super polished yet. The combat doesn't look, that pleasing to me, but playing it, I hope it feels good, because all the ideas that they're promising and all the unique creatures and, style that they're showing us here, it could be something special. What's interesting to me about Biomutant is the way you customize your character. It's not like other RPGs that we've seen. Yes, it is supposed to be an RPG game, and obviously you can put different points into what you want to make better and stuff like that, but you actually mutate, you are these weird little furry creatures, okay? And, basically you can evolve yourself and change your physicalness. So if you want to be a big brute heavy type creature, you're just gonna be super muscly and super big but not that quick. If you want to be a little rat and just speed is your focus, okay, and martial arts is your focus, then you can do that as well. That's what's interesting to me, is this idea of changing your character physically, and that actually affects the game itself and the combat and stuff like that. That looks pretty interesting. Biomutant isn't the average gaming story, okay? Apparently, there's going to be a few choices in this game, thus making it an RPG. I hope that they actually deliver on that. I'm not sure how gripping the characters are going to be, but apparently the story, you have these different factions, the standard kind of stuff, and you decide who to help, and basically, by the end of the game, something big is going to happen, a big twist is going to happen. I'm not sure what the big twist is, but apparently the main focus, like I said, is the combat, is the exploration, is, making your character better, finding all these different new loot and weapons, and upgrading your weapons. It's got quite a big crafting mechanic with your weapons, which looks pretty interesting. And the fact that you fight big bosses and stuff like that, like I said, it sounds very similar to all the other games that we've seen before, okay? Clearing outposts, all these standard objectives, the main story having side quests and stuff like that. And I know I just went on a big rant about how we need games that are trying to do something different, and to me, this is different, because in a world where basically all the stuff that we see is the same with games and movies and stuff like that, this is still different enough, and it's a step in the right direction because it's trying to blend all these different things together to make something unique. And if they actually deliver on a good story as well as all this interesting combat and all these different mechanics under the hood, like the RPG mechanics and the choices and these boss battles, and they make exploration interesting, you know, it's gonna make this game all fit together and be interesting. You know, it doesn't have to be changing the game completely and changing gaming completely, you know, it just has to be well crafted. Like the recent Star Wars game that came out not that long ago, to me that was really great because it actually made you interested in the story. First of all, it gave you an interesting world to explore. The combat was very tight and interesting and actually thought-provoking, and it wasn't just easy stuff. You know, to me that was a really good, well-packaged game, and this could be basically doing the same thing where it packages all these other gaming mechanics into this game and delivering you into a new wacky world, and hopefully everything else just delivers with the characters and with the storytelling and with the RPG mechanics. But it does look like they have got unique features. You know, you can do all these crazy, you know, abilities and stuff like that. It does look like it's gonna be actually pretty cool. You know, it's got climbing, not really like Zelda climbing, but it does have climbing in it, and gliding, like I said, that's very much from Breath of the Wild. So I hope that it does enough to actually be engaging and interesting, and we'll just have to see if the exploration is rewarding, and if the combat is rewarding as well, and if the story is good enough to make you want to keep playing, or if all the characters are just going to feel kind of like empty NPCs, just like the characters in the real world. You know, if they're just going to be empty, hollow NPCs jumping away from you when you go and buy a Coca-Cola, okay? Who knows? I don't know, okay? We'll see. Anyway, my sinners, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, smash like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Go share this video around, and if you enjoyed it, check out the music, download it, support it, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. Bye-bye.